And welcome back to the 52nd running of the Grand Prix de Trois-Rivières. We get into qualifying for the Sports Car Championship Canada, presented by Michelin. The cars are out on track. Great field of cars in the two classes that will be running amongst this group. The GT4 class along with the TCR class. So the GT4s, you'll see probably the quicker of the two, although the TCR class can get around here fairly quickly as well. And what's interesting about today's race one, which will come up a little bit later on this evening, is that both classes will start amongst each other. So it'll be great to watch. But right now, qualifying time, and so there is one of the GTR cars. It's a mix of McLarens and Mercedes. There's a Porsche here today as well in the GT4s and the TCRs, four-cylinder. There's Richard Boak in one of them, one of the four-cylinder Audis, turbocharged, front-wheel drive, but they still pack almost 400 horsepower. The GT4 cars are turning out almost 500 horsepower, rear-wheel drive, and they're a lot of fun to watch and drive as well. But on this tight track, the advantage might be to the TCR, as Todd Lewis joins me once again here in the booth for the call of qualifying. And there's Charles Robin in the number 56, the SH Karting sponsored Sodi Kart Mercedes. He had a couple good runs at our last stop at the Toronto Indy, another street circuit, which Saturday's race was absolutely dynamite.
Terrific race between the GT4 and the TCR classes. You mentioned that one of the GT4 cars, the Mercedes, that 57 car coming towards us right now, and a little more raw speed in the Mercedes and the GT4 cars, but those TCR cars a little more nimble through the tight turns here. And I think we're going to find during the race a real nice mixture of competitive battles amongst the classes as well. Not strictly TCR racing TCR, but the GT4 and the TCR cars. And there's the 9 car of Zachary Vanier that remains along pit road right now. Interesting that he has not gone out on course as of yet.
That's true. He is your points leader in the GT4 class in that McLaren prepared by Pfaff Motorsports. And we talked about the equal footing for these cars on this type of racetrack. You have Jeremy Daniel in the 10, brand new 2022 Audi RS3. And then Romain Monti making his first starts in the Sports Car Championship Canada in a GT4, the silver Mercedes you saw buzz by. He's second. So when you compare times, even if you look back to the modifieds that were on track just a short time ago, we're now down into the 1:09, so a minute 9 seconds for Charles Robin, who just went quick time. Romain Monti, his teammate, now second with a 1:10, but 1:16 was quick in a mod, so you can see just how much quicker these cars are.
Look at those cars, nose to tail as well. Gary Kwok, Bob Atrell are nose to tail, trying to make their way through now through corner number 9, and then 10 to come out around towards the left-hander and the start-finish line. And it is amazing how a track this big with 13, 14, 15 cars, it's funny how everybody gets clustered together like that, isn't it, all the time?
And you know what? That is the beauty of the TCR class. So that is what these four-cylinder cars are. They're homologated internationally. So it is a class that you can run anywhere in the world, which is fantastic without changing too many rules. And they're all clustered together. They're governed by a balance of performance as well to keep the older cars up to speed with some of the newer ones as well, and to get racing like this, even in qualifying. Gary Kwok making his first start of the season in the Sports Car Championship Canada series. Bob Atrell has been there. He ran into some tough luck on the streets of Toronto in the 88. They worked hard over the last 2 weeks to get that car put back together. But it's looking pretty good so far in qualifying.
The second race on the Toronto Indy weekend was very difficult for a number of competitors. There was a lot of car damage, and most teams have been going flat out in a couple of weeks since, and they deserve an awful lot of credit for the long days and late nights to get these cars back and prepared to be here on the streets of Trois-Rivières. And Bob Atrell and his team, just one of the teams that have worked so very hard and looking pretty good right now as he improves his time noticeably at 1:11.1 around this track.
Up into the 8th position now. Connor Atrell, one of his sons in the 80s, down in 10th. And And Quinnitrell has yet to turn a lap, so we're looking for him to come out a little bit later on in this session to set a time. Right now, your top runner is a TCR car. It is the 10 of Jeremy Daniel, a 108.769. Speed of 127.208 kilometers an hour, which is all in the mail here in the Sports Car Championship Canada division. But there you can see a mix of different makes and models. You have the hatchback that has been campaigned by Gary Kwok for a couple of years. You got Bob Attrell and one of the brand new Hyundai Elantra Ns. And there is another one of the brand new 2022 Audi RS3s, campaigned by Jeremy Daniel, your points leader, coming in to this event in the TCR class.
Yes, Jeremy Daniel leading the points and looking very smooth out on the course right now as he's making his laps during this qualifying run, trying to improve his position. The highest running TCR car right now, Romain Monti, has just jumped ahead of him with a 108.6, 109.2 currently for Jeremy Daniel.
Yeah, so that's in the overall standings. Monti quick time right now. Daniel second. Charles Robin, another GT4 car, is sitting in third spot. Richard Boak in a TCR in fourth. Then it's Jean-Francois Evy in the 21. Jocelyn Hébert. And an interesting note about Jocelyn Hébert in the number 89 as he joins the series on a limited schedule here in 2022, but running here at the Grand Prix Trois-Rivières. Interestingly, he has the most podiums out of any driver in any series campaigning here today.
Just told that we do have a bit of an issue with the timing, and it is not showing a time for Zachary Vanier, who is out on course right now. And oh, there's the Richard Boak car, the 84, that has gone into the tire wall, but looks like it was just a light hit coming out of corner number 3. He's going to back up and get going, which is great news.
Yeah, for sure, because he was one of those cars that got a little damage at the Honda Indy Toronto, and he manages to back it up and out of the tire wall. So we avoid a full course caution for now. Zachary Vanier is out on track, but again, his time's not showing up on our official timing and scoring, so they're doing it the old-fashioned way with the stopwatch to get a qualifying time for the FAF Technica Mining number 9. But you will probably see that car at or near the top of the time charts when this qualifying session is over. Again, just 6 laps in. We're under 10 minutes completed so far in the Sports Car Championship Canada, presented by Michelin Series. There's a good look at Vanier as he works his way down the back straightaway.
If you are following the timing on Race Hero, that the timing for Zachary Vanier is showing up on Race Hero, I've just been told. So he had started the season with a couple of victories, had a runner-up finish in Toronto in race number 1, and currently leading the point standings.
There he is in, where did he go? He's 6th spot now in the GT4 class. So 6th spot overall. Currently 3rd in the GT4 class is Zachary Vanier.
In the truck, it's Dave Bradley on the English stream side. I'm getting the audio from the French side.
So just dealing with a few audio issues up here in the booth, getting that sorted out as the cars continue to qualify here at the Grand Prix de Trois-Rivières, and we keep our eye on the number 9 of Zachary Vanier, who continues to climb the time charts. Now still 3rd in class, halfway through this 20-minute qualifying session. So Vanier, who has limited laps on street circuits, admittedly. Last time he went to the Indy in Toronto, that was the first time he was on a street circuit. He, I believe, has been here before at the Grand Prix de Trois-Rivières, but still not in this car. So yeah, you can be here and you can sort of know where the track goes and where you have to turn, but to do it in a different car, know your braking points, and learn it very quickly. Limited practice session earlier on this morning, and now all of a sudden you're qualifying.
And if you were watching him move through and seeing it there again on the left-hander, those hands are working pretty hard.
He just went quickest, actually a 1:08.323. So fast time right now goes to the driver of the number 9, Zachary Vanier. Romain Monti in the 57 slots down into second. So just about a tenth of a second, actually less than a tenth of a second, separating the top 2 drivers. And it's Charles Robin, who is a tenth back from your current pole sitter in the 56. So very, very tight at the front in the GT4 class. And that is what we saw in the last couple races here in the Sports Car Championship Canada. So there is Romain Monti in the 57, campaigned out of the Really Racing trailer, making his first start, but definitely doing well here on the streets of the Grand Prix de Trois-Rivières. Backed by Sodi Kart as well, just as his teammates in the 56. Charles Robin is in a very different look to the Mercedes AMG, but both having very good performance. And there you go, Romain Monti top of the charts, a 1:07.9 now. So he goes about 0.4 of a second quicker than the number 9 of Zachary Vanier. So Vanier was building his way up to the front, and Romain Monti says, I need a quick lap, and I'm going to go and lay one down.
Little past halfway through this this qualifying session, a 20-minute session. So tires get warmed up, drivers get comfortable, a little bit of fuel burns off rather, and everybody starts to put in the quicker times right at the end.
Yeah, the good thing about these Michelin tires is they are very, very durable for these drivers too. So you can push, you don't really have to hold back in a 20-minute session like we have here, and you know you'll have fine tires left for racing at the end of the day. There's Gilles Nadeau in the 61, the Porsche, the only Porsche in the field right now, the GT4 Cayman goes around, and I believe is at turn number 8, the exit of turn number 8. He got out of the way fairly quickly because he knows it's a blind corner. So he jammed it in reverse, backed up, and then found forward gear, and we once again avoid a full course caution.
8 through 9, and then, yeah, that is not a place that you want to be stopped and facing the wrong way out on track. It looked like the 57 had also slowed down a little bit after popping in that hot lap. Maybe just kind of settle things down a little bit, get yourself some clear track, and then maybe have another go in the final minute or two of this qualifying session.
There you see the 21 of JFEV, and that was a car that did have a lot of damage. We talked about the incident at the end of race number 2 on the streets of Toronto, and the 21 had it both front and back. And when I saw it in the paddock area afterwards, I thought there is absolutely no way they can make it back in time for the Grand Prix de Trois-Rivières. So hats off to that team, to that crew for getting that car fixed. You can see he's a little bit off the pace. He's still feeling things out. He's letting the GT4 cars go around on the outside, but once he has a clear track, he's been able to set some pretty quick times. A 1:09.6 is his quickest so far. So that'll slot him in 6th place for the start of tonight's race.
But again, it was a chain reaction collision in Toronto, and as Dave mentioned, front and back damage to that 21 car, and so much had to be done. It's the body work that is the visible cosmetic part, but it is all the parts underneath that had to be examined, replaced, and repaired to get that car ready to come back out, and just an amazing job by that team.
So it looks like everybody but the 86 of Quinnitrell has now taken time, as we're just over 5 minutes left in this 20-minute timed qualifying session for the Sports Car Championship Canada, presented by Michelin. A good look at Zachary Vanier, active hands on that steering wheel as he navigates some of the rougher corners here on the Grand Prix de Trois-Rivières. Again, these are city streets, so they are rough at times. And some of the areas that the drivers have been telling us that are difficult turns to navigate. Obviously, turn number 3 when you head through the Duplessis gates. That's the classic corner here at the Grand Prix de Trois-Rivières. But as you end the straightaway headed towards turn number 6. So there's a couple kinks down the back straightaway that are barely corners, but they are called corners when you look at the track map. Right there, you can see a hump right at the apex of turn number 6. Now they opened up the runoff area there, so they pushed the concrete wall back. They did that a number of years ago, but the drivers are using up all of that real estate, and a lot of that has to do with that hump right on the apex.
And that's the tricky part about these street courses. There is a little evolution every year with the winter, the frost, the freeze, the heave, and it unsettles the car a little bit differently every year, and something that you have to be aware of. That's Gary Kwok and Tom Kwok that were running nose to tail out on course, the two trying to help each other out a little bit to find a little bit of speed in the remaining part of this qualifying session here, and doing pretty well. Gary currently 6th, and Tom Kwok is 7th on the timesheets.
Yeah, so the two 2018 Honda Civic FK7s, they look very similar to the Civics you would see on the streets, nearly identical on the racetrack as well. But we talked about a couple of the tricky corners, and there's the 80 going around Connor Luttrell in the Veloster N, backed by Hyundai Canada. And he's in an interesting spot. It's hard to see which corner that is in. That's turn 1, so he's facing the wrong way in turn number 1, so he must have taken quite a trip to get stopped in that location. We'll have another look at what happened. Ron Tomlinson goes through. Here comes Connor Luttrell. Oh, and he locked up the back end. That looks like almost something went wrong, either with the braking or something broke. Because it's not often a car will snap around just like that.
No, it looked like he was set up pretty well to go through the apex of corner number 1, that right-hander, but then the back end just started to step out on him, and pretty soon he was facing the wrong way, and now Connor Luttrell is just kind of easing his way back around the back part of the circuit here at Trois-Rivières.
Trying to figure out what went wrong. Maybe something did break and he feels something amiss underneath that Hyundai Veloster. Sponsored by Quaker State. Now looking at the time charts, the 80 is currently 14th overall, a 111.582, so he does have some time to make up. But again, this is just qualifying. Race 1 comes up a little bit later on. And there you can see some of the technology. Pulling back the curtain a little bit on one of the Mercedes, that's Charles Robin, the really racing Mercedes AMG. So it just goes to show you how high-tech these cars are. Look at the carbon fiber inside.
Incredibly sophisticated technology. The carbon fiber, of course, because it's very strong, and also very lightweight, because every ounce, kilo, pound matters in a race car.
It does, and you can see the steering wheel, all the buttons. You got the shift levers on the back end of the steering wheel as well. So these cars are very similar to the GT3 cars that you see elsewhere around the world. These ones a GT4 spec, but they are twin turbo. If you look under hood, again, a lot of that carbon fiber continued under hood as well. These are very much specialty built race cars based on the production model Mercedes AMG, but twin turbo, they detune them a little bit by computer mapping and by airflow into the engine as well, so that brings them down to about the 500 horsepower level. Officially it's about 450, but the engineers will tell you they're pushing about 500.
Romain Monti continues to have the quickest time, as it looks like the Kwocks are going to switch spots, and sometimes drivers will do that. Of course, Tom and Gary Kwok know each other so well. It's like, let's try it, maybe you out in front to lead a lap or two. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get another quick one in before the qualifying session expires, and it looks like Gary has slowed off the pace.
Now we've got about 30 seconds left, so probably enough time for one more lap for JF Evie in the 21, if he so chooses. Dean Baker as well in the 52. Dean Baker had a little bit of trouble taking the runoff road in practice earlier on today, but that's the beauty of this track, as the checkered flag does fly. So the last laps in the books now for the drivers who are out on track. So if you manage to sneak through before the checkered flag flew, you're able to complete your lap. But for the drivers seeing the checkered flag fly right now, we can tell you that qualifying is officially in the books, and it will be Romain Monti in the 57. His first start here in 2022 in the Sports Car Championship Canada, presented by Michelin. Zachary Vanier will start alongside him. Then it's Charles Robin. So a trio of GT4 cars. Then we get into the TCR cars. Jeremy Daniel, Richard Boak, Jean-Francois Evie, Justin Di Benedetto. We didn't see him a lot during the qualifying session. His race ended early on the Saturday after touching the concrete wall in Toronto, so they missed the Sunday event. They got the repairs needed to come back today, and so he'll start in the 7th position. That man there, Jocelyn Hébert, in the 89, Doc they call him, and put in a good lap for 110.272. That'll start him in the 8th position. Bob Attrell in the 88 will start 9th, and Gary Kwok in the 66. A little bit quicker than the 55 of Tom Kwok. Ron Tomlinson will actually start in between them in the 48. In 11th position, Tom Kwok in 12th, and Dean Baker in 13th position. And that is actually, no, the 80 of Connor Attrell will start in 14th, and Gilles Nadeau in 15th. And Quinn Attrell is the only driver who did not take time in the 86.
And these cars will be out for that race a little bit later on. They'll wrap up day number 1 here at the Grand Prix of Trois-Rivières. Green flag just after 8 p.m. tonight. Sunset will be starting. It will get darker and darker. Conditions will be a little bit different too, because with the sun going down, track's going to be an awful lot cooler. Those cars are going to feel very different than they do right now.
It'll be exciting. These drivers don't have a lot of experience driving at nighttime as well, so throw another variable into the mix, and we'll look forward to that race coming up as